Meditation really saved my life. It really saved me from a very, very bad and horrible place. I was at a very depressing, low point in my life, and it was the time where I was beginning my that I believe was the true beginning of my spiritual awakening or journey. I was influenced by so much social media at the time. I was doing every spiritual thing in the book. I was diving into shadow work. I was doing self-reflection. I was journaling. I was doing gratitude. I was doing every spiritual thing because I was trying to escape the darkness. I was trying to escape. Little did I know that I wasn't escaping. I was running, I was avoiding, but I was not helping myself, and I was certainly not healing. And I was 13 at the time. I had no friends. I did school from home, and I would say that that was a very isolating period in my life. And I was doing all these spiritual things, and I was getting somewhere. I really do believe that I was improving and I was getting somewhere. And it was a trend at the time to meditate. And I hear so many people talk about meditation and how it affects people, and if it is how they say it is, and as transformative as they say it is. And for me, it really, really was. And I'm not saying this because it was something that was popular at the time, but I really do believe, I really do believe that it saved me. I leaned into meditation, and I would meditate every day, at least 10 minutes every single day. Okay, every single day. For months. I did gratitude every single day for months. I journaled. I sat outside every single day for months. And I can honestly say that I have never been the most peaceful in my entire existence. I have never been the most at peace, separate from life. And it all started with the meditation. Meditating got me to quiet my mind for the first time ever. For the first time, I was able to quiet my mind. I was able to stop avoiding, because when you force yourself to stop, you want to fight it. You want to avoid and you want to run away. And meditating was definitely the force against that. It was forcing me to be still. It was forcing me to be present, which I had never truly ever been. And I was able to actually experience myself for the first time, with no external worry or external force. I was able to just be my soul and myself for the very first time. And that was the moment where I began to really know myself and understand myself. I was able to distance myself from life, from worries, from fears, from desires. And I discovered that I am not the world that is around me. I am not my thoughts. I am not my feelings. I am not my anxiety. I was really able to detach, and not in a unhealthy, scary way, but in a way that taught me that I am more than this. I am more than this. And that was something that just came to me, that dawned on me. And it took me a while to process it, that I am separate from everything and that I am not a part of it. It is a part of me. That was my first sort of spiritual hit that I really got from meditating. And the reason I think meditation had helped me so much was because I was open to it. I was fearful, but I was open. And I've spent a lot of my life running and avoiding, which is funny because the moment when I started meditating, that was actually when all my problems started getting solved. And that was the time that I had stopped running. I had stopped avoiding. And suddenly everything that I had ever worried about, that I was ever scared of, that I was ever uncertain for, had disappeared. I was really able to know what I wanted and what I had and what I needed. I was able to be present within my body, within my mind, and I became so much more clear-headed. I was not reactive at all. If a problem came to me, it was just surrender. It was just, it is what it is. Because I had meditated so much that my body had become so gentle and so relaxed. I had felt so at ease with everything that even the most terrifying, gut-wrenching, depressing thing, if that were to happen, I would still be the most at peace. Because meditation really took me out of myself. It took me out of life and out of every situation, stress, or anxiety. And I started seeing every choice and every decision differently. And I stopped acting based off fear. I stopped acting based off a reaction. It made me realize that everything I did was based off a reaction. I was not acting. I was not living. I was just reacting. And it changed my life in a way that I realized that I didn't have to run and that I wasn't going to run anymore. And I don't know if it was just the meditation alone that really helped me, because I was doing gratitude and I was sitting with nature and I was doing all these things. But meditation was the one thing that really started everything for me. And there's this part of me that really has some skepticism when it comes to all these spiritual hobbies and acts. I want to experience something before I believe what anybody tells me. I want to experience before I just believe what someone tells me of something. Someone will say, "Oh, you should try this. It's very, very transformational. It is very new age, and it will save your life. If I were to hear that, I would not believe, and I would be very skeptical, because I don't believe unless I try it. I am terrified of being persuaded and manipulated and just made to believe something that I have not experienced. But it really did make me a spiritual person. I have grown up around spirituality, around spiritual beliefs, but I have never been able to truly say that I'm spiritual myself. But meditating really opened me up to that. Nobody can force you to see. You have to see yourself. And I feel like that was the moment that I was actually starting to see myself. And that I am not life. Life is me. And everything became so much more still. Life was not racing. Life had no time, had no clock. And my depression had disappeared. It really had. And that was because I was doing gratitude every morning. And I was forcing myself to write down the things that were going well in my life, that I was happy about. And that opened my heart. And it really gave me a chance to love again. And because I was seeing all these good things, I didn't really have a reason to be sad. And that was another thing that I had discovered, was that I was sad for nothing. I would write every morning about my life and my mornings and how I was feeling. And I would be forced to write down all these good things, and then I would look back and go, but why am I so sad? And that really got me out of depression, even if it was for a few minutes every morning. It can become so clouding. It really can. And even to get yourself out of it for a second is so impossibly hard. And doing gratitude, even if it was just one prompt, for a minute, I got out of it. And that made me realize that it was just something I was keeping myself in. It wasn't actually an emotion that I was feeling. And then meditating allowed me to step away from that, to separate myself from that. And journaling and shadow working, doing those things allowed me to understand why I was feeling sad and why there was that darkness. Why I felt I had to be in darkness. Why I had to feel darkness. So meditation really did save me. And it's not that these things are spiritual. It is more that it is healing. I think we get too attached to labels and too personal to the influences of them, but they are popular for a reason. I can say all these things that saved my life. If it was people, therapy, all these things, I could say anything. But here I am saying it was meditation that really saved me. And it was. And that is something you do not have to pay to do. That is something that you do not have to spend 5 hours doing. It can take 5 minutes of your day. But I did it every day for months, and I don't know why I stopped. But it just brought out a new version of myself. You do not need the world to save yourself. You do not need thousands to save yourself. You do not need people to save yourself. It can be the smallest acts sometimes that make the biggest difference. You realize that you have so much wisdom within yourself. You become so clear within your mind that you just become this untouched force in the middle of a cyclone. You become that center of it all within the chaos. And this is not a dramatic way of describing it, because that is the truth. It really, really is the truth. And it is not escaping yourself that gives you the peace. It is not by passing it. It is just by sitting still in it. And it doesn't happen in one day. But that one day will make a difference. That one day will start it for you. But I can say that meditation really did change me. And I know everyone is different. But that really was my therapy. And I think that more and more people need to understand that people are not just telling you to do things because it is popular. People are not just telling you to do things because they are being given things to preach it. People preach it because it is genuinely helpful and healing. And because everyone is saying it doesn't mean you should not want to do it. Give it a try. See if it works for you and if you believe in it. I don't like feeling restricted or controlled or told what to do or feel like I'm being influenced in any form of way. So when I see so many people telling me I should try this and try that, I immediately do not want to do it. And I'm very spiritual in a way, but I'm also very skeptical with everything. But you need to try it before you can say anything about it. You need to learn to see before you can tell people to see. People cannot see for you. You can only see for yourself. And I feel like we are so used to people explaining to us how to see that we don't actually try to see for ourselves. It is so different when you yourself actually see. So stop listening to all these people talk about spiritualism and actually start experiencing it. Experience yourself. Experience yourself. It is not something that you can hear or you can watch, or it is something that you have to be. You can't live life in books and in videos. You have to go out there and feel it and experience it for yourself. That is with self-transformation also. You cannot see it in others, and that's it. You decide what it is and how you do it. Allow yourself to discover life for yourself. Allow yourself to be the one to discover. Stop watching other people go through their transformations. You need to be the one to now go through your own. It's now time to start changing your own life. Stop hearing how other people are changing your life. You already know how you are supposed to. But it's that avoidance. It's that fear. What are you afraid of? What are you running from? That is the question. You cannot put your life on pause to watch other people live it. Put other people's life on pause, put that video on pause, and live your life. That is how you are going to transform yourself.